Hi, I'm Rick from the Whisky Zone, welcoming you to The Cut Point, the interview series where we get to the heart of the matter. In this third installment of The Cut Point, I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with Sam Filmus, the president of Impex Beverages and JVS Imports. I was thinking that importing is sometimes overlooked when people think about whiskey on the shelf. So I invited Sam to sit down and shed a little light on himself and the business side of what he does. Hopefully, you enjoy our discussion. So Sam, welcome to The Cut Point. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course. So just to start off, some people may notice that you have a slight accent. Can you talk a little bit about the journey to get here today?
Sure. Well, you're too kind to put this question this way, because usually people just go, oh, you have an accent, where are you from? Slight accent, I would say it's not slight, it's pretty obvious that I do have an accent. And originally I came from Moldova. So Moldova is, for those who don't know, sandwich between Ukraine and Romania in the Eastern European part of the world, Earth. And at that time when I was there, we were part of Soviet Union, so the official language was Russian, so that's the accent. That's where it comes from, and I was not ever trying to get rid of it because it's impossible. My daughters don't have any accent. One of them was 8-year-old when we came here, and another one was born here. So
you have two different business entities. You have JVS Imports and Impex Beverages. What's the difference between those two?
Sure. So let's start with JVS because I opened it back in 1998 with my brother as a partnership, and then in 2000, my good friend that we've known each other since we were 15 years old, Val, joined the company as a sales rep and then bought part of the company. And so JVS basically stands for Joseph, Val, and Sam. It's a distributor, California distributor. So we bring products that imported by other people and sell it here and promote it here.
Oh, okay.
In 2008, I opened a company called Impex Beverages, which is an import company. So we basically are the US importer who bring the product to the country and then sell it to people like JVS, so the distributors. That's a major difference. So the Impex portfolio is much smaller, more compact, while JVS portfolio is famous of having some very niche things and very, like, part of our portfolio is ethnic products. And when Val joined the company, the portfolio grew the way that we would have some unique things from Romania or Portugal or Serbia or Montenegro. Those niche things that are not mainstream but very important for communities that we have here.
Yeah.
Polish, you name it. It's Val's expertise, and he loves it, and we kind of feel like we're unique in this aspect.
That's great. So now you talk about the importing. So for anybody watching this who doesn't really know what an importer does, can you talk a little bit about the business side of what is it that an importer does?
Sure. I need to mention that in 2017, about 9 years since we opened the company, another business partner of mine, Chris, joined it. Impex now is partnership of Sam Filmus and Chris Udy. For those who don't know, I usually start the pretty complicated story about unique setup of distribution in US. Basically, we have 3-tier system here. So importer, distributor, and then whether it's a restaurant or bar or retail store, retail chain. So 3-tier system, we act like importer, Impex, Then in California, we use JVS as our distributor, but we also have distributors in 46 states throughout the United States that do this kind of a second tier, who offer our brands and other brands out of their portfolio to the clients, their clients, as a on sale, we call it, our on-prem accounts, which is bars and restaurants, and off-prem accounts, which is retail stores.
So you're dealing with, as I understand it, 50 different import laws, because it isn't just importing into the United States, it's importing to each one of these individual legislative groups.
Absolutely, Rick. So we treat every state as a separate country because they have their own laws and their own, besides the federal law, and you know, the excise tax that we pay in each state versus import tax or federal tax and duty that we pay the government when we bring the product. And then, of course, the third tier pays sales tax. So all three tiers are, you know, giving their duties to our favorite Uncle Sam. Sorry. But I'm fortunate enough to have the team, specifically Helen in the office, Helen and Ian now, who are taking care of the compliance, because to me, I don't have enough patience to do that. And you have to have not only specific knowledge and even skills, but kind of talent, and this talent is called patience and attention to detail. Mm-hmm. It's super important. Among these states that we deal with, there's some control states that are run by government, so it's a totally different kind of picture and different approach. And some of them are franchise states. Some of them have some other situations that we need to be adjusting to them. So my team is excellent in this, starting with label approvals and compliance with each and every distributor in each and every market.
It sounds like a nightmare.
To me, for sure, I would have never touched it. Not with my patients. But, yeah.
Well, I have to say that, and this is an apology to people watching this from anywhere other than California, but we seem to be very lucky in getting what we get here in California, and a lot of that is due to your diligence and the team that you have, because I have friends of mine from across the country who'll say, we haven't seen that here, or we don't get that, and I say, sorry.
Yeah, logistic-wise, I am trying. I'm trying to be fair to other distributors, especially when it comes to limited releases, something that it's very allocated and very, hard to find. And I don't want to have this impression of, number one, that I'm kind of selling it in my backyard. But number two, price consistency is very important. So we want to make sure that the price is consistent throughout the country. But yeah, it's just logistically wise, it comes to Port of Oakland or Port of Los Angeles, Long Beach. And it's just by default, California retailers have the first kind of opportunity to taste it and to buy it.
So I'm curious now with regards to the relationships that you have with different distilleries. When it comes to bringing in product into this country, do you approach distillers and say, I'd like to bring in what you have? Or do they approach you and say, can you get our stuff in?
Great question, Rick. At this point, we don't approach anyone, only because we want to keep the portfolio manageable, compact enough for each brand to receive enough attention. And, I would never go to some big book of 5,000 brands or whatever. I don't feel this is our philosophy, this is our view. We used to approach several distilleries when we started. Some of them we had more luck with others because, again, it's kind of a catch-22. If you have a good reputation of having a good network of distribution, people, ask, like, who are you with? Like, if some suppliers go to some international show, they would always ask each other, like, who you have in the United States? And they would say, oh, we have Impex. Oh, great. this kind of word of mouth goes around, and that's where we get approached. And I would say 95% of the time, specifically for the last 2 years, we would say no, and then we would consider some things with the approach that I want to make sure that the people behind the distilleries kind of share our philosophy. Number 2, of course, the quality and the taste of the whiskey. And number 3, will it fit well price-wise because of the 3-tier system to the market in the United States.
Now, you've been doing this a while. Is there a challenge? I mean, at this point, I don't know if it's a fair question, but is there a challenge to selling Scotch whiskey to Americans?
It's always a challenge. As you know, we represent younger distilleries. We don't represent something that has already been well known when we get it. We're making it well known. We hope, we think we're making it. Let's say Kilchoman, we've been bringing it since 2010. So for 14 years, it's not that Kilchoman that used to be when we started. In terms of recognition, Glenallachie, it's another great story. But majority of our the distilleries are the ones that just new guys on the block. And that's the challenge, because price-wise, it's, people start comparing, okay, this is an non-age statement, probably 3, 4, 5-year-old whiskey, and it costs pretty much the same as some double-digit number of age, and etc. So that's where the challenge is, to bring the story to people, to have them taste it, to appreciate the quality of the whiskey, and eventually purchasing it. So.
Yeah. So part of your business, part of everybody's business these days, is dealing with social media. And I'm sure in the time that you've been doing this, that has changed a lot. How much of your time do you have to devote to doing social media these days?
Yeah, you're right. Things changed for the last, 20 plus years. I don't remember using Facebook 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I am trying to be on top of it, but I will confess, not always. Like if I have some downtime, or if I'm sitting in the airport waiting for the plane to be boarded or something. But again, I'm super lucky to have some very talented people who kind of take care of marketing part. Johnny would be the one that is super talented. He comes out with the greatest pictures and content and things that kind of intrigues people to pay attention to our brands, or to be interested to taste them. In the Northern California, I have Jeanette, who is super talented as well and super passionate. And she does a great job of taking care of social media. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, I would find some comment that I needed to answer, and I just, miss it. And I know these guys would watch after me and would either bring it to my attention or answer. So it's interesting times we live in. If you ask me if I ran or used the Facebook, if it was not for business, I'd probably say no. Uh-huh. But it's another way to send a message to the community, or to get involved in some sort of a discussion, or to know some things that you immediately know because of IG, because of Facebook, because of...
And the connection, making that
Exactly.
connection. Yeah. To me, it seems like the biggest challenge is, it isn't like going to one source, like just going to Facebook. There are so many social media outlets now that you have to cover them all if you want to get everybody in the market.
Absolutely, yeah. I know a good chunk of people who would not use Facebook, but they enjoy IG,
right?
Or X, Twitter, or now TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok is super popular. Yeah, I think a lot of people that I meet during my in-store tastings or other activities, we've been friends and then you put face to name. It's just something that I would say I need to be thankful to social media.
Yeah,
that's one of the advantages.
What would you say is just in running the business, what's a huge challenge for you?
There's a long list. If you want me to name one, probably to keep my suppliers happy. I would say for the last 2-3 years, and it's not a secret, globally the sales of whiskey specifically, if we're talking about the category, slowed down, and our suppliers still need to explain why to their board of directors or owners or whoever they're reporting to, and everyone is like hoping that U.S. being one of the, in some cases, the biggest market, would help them with the numbers and etc. And the challenges that we have here would not help the cause. So,
thinking about that, the fact that economists say you have discretionary spending, and whiskey would fall into that category of discretionary spending. When you're faced with like economics like that, do you think it's better to like throw marketing or whatever at your existing base to try to keep them, or to try to find ways to grow the market, grow the industry?
what we kind of monitoring now is the trend that the buying habits changed. People who used to sell, who used to buy a bottle of whiskey for $150, they go to $100, from $100 to $75, or they change the category from single malt to bourbon or American whiskey or anything else. So, and I don't want to repeat myself because not myself, but everyone is talking about the economy. We kind of try to be proactive. You probably heard that we went through the major price reduction recently, about 29 SKUs, 12 brands. And it's not because we have some extra margins there or whatever. We just thought with the consumer in mind, that would be a good way to kind of show that we're reactive to what's going on in the economy, and we still want our whiskey to be enjoyed and be affordable. So that probably was a little bit of a risky step, especially now when the tariffs kind of knocking on the door. But we decided that was necessary to do. I think we still have some budgets that we use for social media. We participate in a lot of national events like Whiskeys of the World, Whiskey and Barrel Night, and some other things. We're trying not to. We can't be everywhere, but we're trying to support our friends and to see if we fit with our category. Mm-hmm. So that's a big chunk of where our budgets go.
Now, you mentioned the price reductions. You did that at the beginning of the year. Is it too soon to tell right now if that's actually had an impact? Is it helping the business? Are there any signs that it's a helpful thing at this point?
So, two probably major points, Rick. Number one, it does help because we could see the orders that are coming in for these specific items, they increased. Another side of it is that our distributors have the stock on the floor that need to be adjusted because mm-hmm. they bought it for old price. And some of them, I've got a lot of thank you letters and a lot of excitement about that in terms of appreciation from the industry people and from the consumer. And some of the distributors would say, you know what, if you've done it from your side, we'll do it from our side. So we would either meet 50-50 on the floor stock adjustment, or they would absorb their part and just go with some of them would not, which I understand. Everyone runs the business. They all need to make money. So we kind of have this individual approach to each distributor, because next challenging step would be to make sure that the price on the shelf is adjusted as well, because that's the final, yeah. So like, since we meet a lot at the whiskey shop in San Francisco, they immediately changed their pricing, which was very nice of them.
Yeah.
So again, with the consumer in mind, we feel like if all these steps are, taken properly, we will see some even more impact on this. And maybe some other other importers or distributors like us would follow the example.
Mm-hmm. You have all of these challenges, but what about your business brings you the greatest joy?
Oh, that's a long list.
That's good.
I would say number one is meeting people like yourself, like Don Andrews, like many others that kind of are the advocates of the industry, not only my brands, but in general, and appreciating the whiskey, but also dealing with names like, I'm going to try to list them, and if I miss someone, and I'm pretty sure I will, I apologize in advance, but a few names that, like Michael Urquhart, dealing with this person and taking the example of what he's done to the industry. Stuart Nickerson, Billy Walker, Anthony Wills, John Campbell, people like Charlie McLean, and many, many others. It just, that's a huge joy, because Billy Walker, you're around him for a couple of hours and it's like a walk-in Wikipedia. It's like the amount of ideas that comes out from this guy, like for the short period of last time, I think we probably spent maybe 5 hours or so together. I thought I graduated from a 5-year university. It just was like, wow, how much of a thing this guy can digest as an ideas of his own.
Yeah.
So that's probably what brings me the most of the joy. But also from the business perspective, we have about 32 people working for us. That means that they all get paid and they can support their families. That's a big joy from our side. Our suppliers, we bring product, and they, which I hope creates some jobs, and they are able to keep their jobs and to feed their families and all this stuff. So by looking at this from this perspective, that's a big joy for me.
So let's talk a little bit about whiskey. Let me start by saying you seem to have a whole bunch of it right here. What kind of whiskeys do we have?
Well, I try to rotate it, but this time we have a few of from Isla Distillery. So you got Kilhoman Single Cask, Impex Cask Evolution. I also have the 17-year-old Porter's Cake that's just changed the packaging to some rebranding.
Oh, very nice.
And then you got the 31-year-old Isla from the Impex collection.
31 years, very nice.
Yeah, I'm trying, when it comes to independent bottlers, you'll see a lot of undisclosed distilleries. I'm trying to stay away if possible, but there's two that we just couldn't say no when we tasted them. One was 21-year-old Orkney, which was distilled in 1999. And as we know, there's two distilleries there. So Scapa at that time was under construction. So they didn't produce any whiskey. So that was definitely Highland Park, which actually brought us Best in Show at the Whiskeys of the World. And this one I could not say no, because when I tasted it was so fresh and so zesty, so playful. And you think of Isla, 31-year-old, being a little bit, maybe on the edge of being flat or tired. It was not the case. So we decided, and I don't know what distillery it is. We also have some Isla Brasse, which is a single cask, 5-year-old, the first age statement, peated, matured in an ex-Bordeaux cask. And we got some 30-year-old Glenallachie, which we have once a year, limited.
Very nice. Do you remember what your first aha moment was with whiskey?
Yeah, I do. It was, so to me, whiskey, maybe because of where I'm coming from, was more like a moonshine. It was something that's very bitter, very sour, not very pleasant. And one time I walked in a room where the person was enjoying whiskey. It was scotch. And she offered me, do you want some? And I said, yes, sure, why not? I'll just give it another chance. You know, maybe it'll change my view. And it was Chivas. And I loved it. Just loved it.
That's great.
Yeah, that was my kind of a...
There's a thing about whiskey that people debate back and forth, and it's the neck pour. Do you have a feeling on, like, is the neck pour from a bottle different than what you're getting in the main part of the bottle?
It's amazing how geeky and how deep people dig sometimes, which is great. Any conversation that originates around the whiskey, I think it's, as long as it doesn't get into a fight,
Yeah.
it's appreciated. My opinion, there's no difference, but it's my opinion could be subjective. Another thing that I didn't find it in myself, but people would point, when I pour the whiskey, I always shake it and then pour it. So when I open my bottle to taste, I shake it, so there's no any neck pour. I'm sorry. I need to remember that. Yeah, I mean, I pour the whiskey and I like for it to stay in the glass for about 5 to 10 minutes, just to breathe when the oxidation starts. And again, if it was a neck pour, probably, if it was a difference between neck pour and the regular pour, it would probably be gone because I just have it sit in the glass. So, sorry, but yeah, the reason and that probably came from David Stirk, because he said, you know, we never use any artificial color for whiskey, right? So when you shake and you see those bubbles white, that means there's no color. If they're the same color as juice, then there's a color. So I need to get rid of this habit. I need to get rid of a few habits. That's one of them, for sure.
So where do you stand on adding water? Do you add water to all of your whiskeys, or do you have like your own set point where an ABV will make you always add water?
So no matter what strength the whiskey is bottled at, I will always try it like this. I would try it like this, and then if it's a higher strength, I would not add water to a whiskey that is at 40%.
Right.
In many cases, even 43. In some cases, I like the cask strength whiskey. I don't think it needs water. Again, it could be totally my mistake, and it could be very subjective. But I enjoy it so much when I just don't want any water. Kind of magic number for all of us, 46. So when it comes to 46, generally I would add some water after I taste it at 46. But again, if I enjoy it at 46, there's no need to add water. I know you ask 5 people and you would have 10 opinions about it. Maybe mine is 11th one. But it all depends, yeah. But I think adding water is not a crime. People think it's a crime. I think it's, in many cases, it's a necessity. Like when I enjoy my whiskey, it's one thing. When I select the casks, when I taste them, I would always add water because these cask samples come at cask strength. So I would taste it like this, then add water, and then this process would be repeated 3 times within 2 weeks before I make my final decision. But when I enjoy it, depends on the company, depends on the food, depends on my mood, and etc. Yeah, sometimes I would find myself lazy to add some water if I enjoy it like this.
Do you, obviously, you deal with whiskey all the time. So you get whiskey, you open it, you drink it. Do you have any bottles that you don't open? Like special bottles that you have no intention of ever drinking because they're good on the shelf because they have some special memory? Or do you drink everything?
I do have one bottle that probably for maybe sentimental reasons I would not open. I would never open. I might change my mind. Maybe there will be some special, but right now there's no intentions to open it. And that's Gordon MacPhail, Glen Grant. And why it's special to me? Because Gordon MacPhail in 2009, they were awarded the Queen's Award of Enterprise for International Trade. And there were a few bottles made, not for sale. One of them was presented to the Queen. So the lieutenant from her palace came to present the award, and he was presented with his bottle. And I don't know why they did it, but they gave me one. So that was very special. There's a specific certificate about it and thank you letter. So
is that the bottle?
yeah, that's the bottle. I would not open it, I think.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's a sherry cask, matured, 1965.
So you were talking about being in the airport, working on social media. You travel a lot. Do you have a favorite place you like to go to when you travel? I mean, not necessarily vacation, but like for work, for whiskey-related travel?
I travel a lot, but not enough. So I'd like to travel more. But there's always something coming up here that I feel like I'm needed here more than anywhere else. But the favorite destination out of all my travels has been my home. I mean, no matter how long you're away and how good or not as good the travel is, coming home is always the best part of any trip. Seeing my family, my wife, my daughters, my dog. So yeah, sorry for maybe not a very standard answer, but that's a true answer.
That's okay. We were talking not too long ago, speaking of travel, and you were talking about taking your team to Scotland. How important is that?
Rick, I think it's super important. My people who are representing our brands throughout the country in major regions of the United States, they run some seminars, they run some in-store tastings, some club tastings, etc. And they're very knowledgeable. They know a lot about the distilleries that we import. But when it comes to one question, then someone in the group would always ask, have you been to the distillery? And for them, being truthful, saying no, kind of devaluates everything that they put as a story and knowledge and enthusiasm and passion to this specific distillery. So we practice that. We've done that before. Last time we took about 15 people. It was quite long ago, like 2020 or so. But then pandemic and all this stuff. So we're very happy to reanimate that tradition. We hired some new people that would really need to be to touch the stills, to nose the mash, like to see the malting floor, to see people that create this beautiful juice that we all enjoy.
Yeah. Now you are a keeper of the quake. For anybody watching who doesn't know what that is, can you explain a little bit about it and how it came that you were awarded this recognition?
Sure. Yeah. So Keeper of the Quake, it's a club or organization that started in 1988. Now there's about over 2,000 people members and about 150 master of the quake. So keepers and then masters. The first time the opportunity came was good several years ago, and I said, no, I'm not going to wear the kilt. It's not for me. And then the opportunity came back a few years later, and I was silly enough to share it with my daughters and my wife, and they said, what? You're going. You're going. And my younger daughter went with me, and Chris, my business partner, so for the banquet and getting this. So it's, sometimes I forget, I would say most of the times I forget about that, and then people like yourself remind me, which is great. It's for, this club is more for people who did something noticeable to the industry, to the trade, to the whiskey in many ways. So I'm glad that I qualified, and I'm very thankful. and I need to remind myself more often.
So you deal with whiskey, but are you also a cocktail fan?
Cocktail is not my thing to go,
Yeah.
but I'm very lucky to have people who represent our brands, that they're really cocktail gurus. Most of them are USBG members. My national sales manager, Mary, she used to be a food and beverage director for like chain of 8 restaurants in Illinois. And she's proud of having her own cocktail signatures and all this stuff. So when I start talking cocktail, I feel pretty silly, but I'm proud that, you know, Summer Jane Bell here in San Francisco, I will never forget, one time I was on antibiotics and I couldn't drink any alcoholic beverages, and she made a mocktail for me. It was incredible, just incredible, because I never cared of cocktails, and she goes, just give it a try. It's really good. So I prefer to have people that are talented and kind of gurus in this field to take care of it, rather than me going there. Enjoying, like I said, my daughter she likes cocktails, but she always give me to try cocktail that she orders. I tried and I'm trying to be nice. Great. But no, I need to get into this. I need to. Don't know when.
So is there anything that I didn't bring up that you wanted to talk about or mention?
Well, I remember you giving me this medal, and I'm proudly kind of proud owner of it, the Whisky Zone. I just wanted to say how much I enjoy talking to you, your questions, your impressions about my whiskey. And I know you don't like everything, which is great. I do appreciate that. And if you don't like something, you will let me know. I enjoy, watching your whiskey reviews. So just thank you for including me, and I hope I didn't disappoint.
No, not at all. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I
Thanks.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Should we have a toast?
Please, let's do that. Okay.
All right.
Cheers.
Lunch.
Whisky Zone's lunch. Cheers.